in traditional planning, we do a deterministic analysis. We just look at the contingencies, look at make sure that we're in compliance with the TPL standards and the utility standards. There's some contingencies like the overlapping doubles that may not be considered because near TPL 1005 do not require you to make the system secure for those. And that's the way traditionally the system was planned. Now what we're doing and moving towards, and you saw the managed hydro example, is including the probabilistic assessment. In other words, the impact of your decisions in investing in the system in the quality of service that the customers receive. So in this example, I'm going to be using a data center, and we're going to be analyzing it from an economic point of view. So what is the situation? The utility had a technology park where they had about 523, call it 500 megawatts of generation that must not be affected by the addition of this new large data center, which is 1.3 gigawatts. And it's going to be modeled. The entire substation is basically flat load. So we don't need to worry about, in this case, of what we call the low duration curve. And the concept there is that if on a system you have the load that varies over time, then you're looking at two events to happen simultaneously. The fault occurs, the overloading occurs, the need to shed load occurs, together with the load being at that level. So typically, this type of analysis are being done with a low duration curve. So we have the energy not served at the peak, at several intermediate levels, and at the valley. But in this case, to keep it simpler, it's a flat 8760 load. And the data center is adding also 850 megawatts storage, and that's a given decision, so that's being modeled. And it informed us that their cost of energy not served is $17 per kilowatt hour, a very high value. Alternatively, and this we have also done with other studies, we start with the cost of local supply, which can also be fairly high. So local supply may be installing a large turbines on site, adding more storage. But in general, the concept here is that we're going to be comparing the building or expanding the system versus the option of not expanding the system, but incurring into this cost. In this sense, it's very much aligned with what Megan just presented. And the overall idea is then identifying what reinforcement would make sense, would make most economic sense. Just to give you an overview of how the system looked like, this just a screenshot of the near area of the technology park, which is down here. You're seeing my mouth, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. This is the technology park. There is one line that is called the line 171 that was found to be, or will be seen that it's behind most of the load shedding needs at the data center. But also there is a generating plant fairly close to this data center that also affects the, or also results in needs to interrupt load at the data center or supplied locally, which also used to be a big concern in the past whenever we were doing these reliability assessments, which is the input data. If you don't have good input data, then your results are suspect at best. And one critical input data is the frequency of failure of all of the elements in your network and the repair time. And that's where this link that we're doing between our tool, which calculates the probability of failure, with Copperleaf, it's fundamental, because we're getting from Copperleaf asset, which looks at the performance, the actual performance of the assets in the network, what we call the PRB files. The PRB files tell us what's the frequency of failure of this asset, how long it takes to be repaired. And more interestingly, it gives us over time, as the asset ages, the probability of failure increases. So it provides us that data that before we were using typical industry standards, trying to look at the IEEE to see what we can get. But that's one game changer for us in this type of analysis, that the input data on the reliability is a lot more trustable, for not to use the word reliable.